shepherd people, or people that were, the Shamron are still, the name of people in, I think I need my, the charger. The people that are in charge of the agriculturalists, were, you have across Africa, what are called client tribes, and they're protectors. So the Tuareg, for example, they have the vassal classes of the Zagawa or Wangara or Man people. And in Arabia they had the same thing. They had people that were the smiths, agriculturalists, and miners of these protectors, which are the nomadic people, pastoral nomads. Oops.
I just put it like that so you can still see.
Now, do I need, can I do this or no? I guess not.
Yeah, there's
Oh,
no.
okay. No, I can't.
Point it at the computer.
Okay.
You got to where the heading is.
So I go up. But I just wanted to tell you that the myth of Shem, Ham, and Noah has nothing to do with different colored people. It has to do with their lifestyle that these people have today in the Sahara and Sahel and Sudan, northern Sudan. In fact, all the berry, are found all over West Africa and then, the Guinea coast, along the Guinea coast. And like the Tuareg too are found in Guinea-Bissau and Burkina Faso. So, does it not work? Well, anyway, so I was trying to make the point that Arabian and the ancient Arabian and modern African people have the same custom of societal, stratification, shepherds or protectors, and Sahel and stuff. And then the agriculturalists or smiths and miners and the people that make the metallurgists, and then you have slaves, unfortunately. So that's how a lot of African societies were, and that's also the same thing that was in Arabia. So Shimron were the protectors, Hamron were the people that worked with agriculture, were the vines. That's why you see in the Bible, the story of Noah, he's, Hamron, meaning, Noah got drunk and his son did something, saw him naked or something.
Yes.
So that allegory comes from that, from the word hammer or ahmar, before it came to mean generally people of European background, because that word came to mean slave.
Wow.
The word ahmar meant slave, but originally it came from the South Arabian word meaning grape. So the grape and the vine, Hamran and Shimron, that's where that comes from. So I have, like I said, I have all this in the blog. We're able to. Okay, so this is a tribe in Israel, modern Israel today, called Canaan. If you know anything about the Quraysh came from the tribe of Canaan. So Canaan are also related to people called the Hudhail, who are located between Mecca and Medina. They look the same. They were said to invite colonialists to have shining black skin. And that's in the sacred part of, it's called the Haram, the sacred part of Arabia, between Mecca and Medina. So when the Chinese explorers visited, they said they saw the people there, and they were all of a dark, very dark purple color. So that's why also when, that's the area of Sulaim too. Sulaim bin Mansur, that Al-Jahiz talks about. So when they visited that area, they saw very dark-skinned people, as black as lava. That's what Al-Jahiz says, as black as lava. And those people happen to be related to the same people that were in Central Arabia, or the Najd. All the tribes that were in the Hijaz were in the Najd. So in the 14th century, Ibn Khaldun considers this area Sudan. Bilad is Sudan. That's part of that. So all these tribes I'm listed here are related to the Kuda and are the Midianites. If you look in the Bible, you'll see that the names Shimron, Canaanite, sorry, not Canaanites, but Cal. Anyway, I'll tell you when I'm bringing them up. So if you look at the book I was talking about, The Unknown Arabs, there's a video about these people. I got this, I think, in the video. They're living in the Asir region near, which actually this area was called Israel before, but now it's called Asir. And in Tariq's book, it talks about how the tribe of Abs, or who are actually called also Yabs or Abs, they say there was an eyewitness observer back in the medieval time and said, oh, I see black men stamping, talking about the Abs. I see black men stamping their feet with spears. So these are these people. But the word Yabs, according to Kamal Salibi, who wrote the Bible in Moravia, is the word Jebusite. So Jebusites actually founded Jerusalem. And that's important because if you know anything about the Salimi, who Tacitus spoke of, the Salimi? No. So I must have been doing a lot of research back in the day, in the 80s that a lot of people weren't doing. But I used to read J.A. Rogers,
Yes.
Sheikh Anta Diop. There was a man named Hansberry, Leo Hansberry. If you read those books, you'll see a lot of this information. Those are classic, black classics. You won't see that in Dr. Clark's books, Dr. Henry Clark, whatever his name. The guy that came up and yelled at me for saying this stuff at one lecture one time.
Wow.
So you won't see it in his books because, they're very Pan-African, but they don't include black Asians, Asiatic people, like you already know.
Right.
Okay, so here's some Mahra and people of Hadramawt, or southernmost parts of Arabia. The Hadramawt here are visiting this. There's 3 Hadramatis here, and they're visiting Indonesia, or settling in Indonesia. And here's Indonesia. But you can see they look like, just like the Ethiopians, right? Now here's the Dawasir tribe I was talking about, of Central Arabia. These people are described as black giants, and they're very, they're very tall and very dark, black, in fact. And so those are the people of the Azd. They still recognize themselves as the Azd. So when the Azd moved north, these tribes of Khazraj, otherwise known as Gezer, Aus, or Uz, the biblical Uz, and Kaza, or Hazo, if you look in the Bible, there are sons of Aram. They brought that name Aram up there. And also further north, they were called Nabateans. So they live in a place called Falaj el-Falaj, which is the land of Peleg. If you know the Bible, Peleg was a son of Shem.
Right.
Okay? And the brother of Katan. So today there's still among the certain tribes up in Jordan, up in Israel and Sinai, and as well as around Mecca and Medina, black or near black people that have the tribal names of the ancient Sulaim. Does everybody know the Sulaim? Banu Sulaim?
No.
Okay, well, they're very important because Al-Jahiz, the 9th century author, speaks about them, as well as a Kurdish author who talks about the black, the being black. So they're supposed to be black as well, but they extended all the way to Syria, and there were actually people in the Bible called the Salma as well, Salma or Shalmai. And so that's why, and you hear, their book was called the Psalms. So many of these people still have the names of those people that were called Salmai, Salmai, or Shalmai. They still call themselves in certain areas the Salamians. And the Salamians were actually, in the Bible even says Salmon was, in one place, he's the son of Manasseh, the Israelite. Other places he's the son of Nahshon, or other places he's Caleb, son of Caleb, who is Cal, the Banu Cal, and also in that area. So this on the right here, these are Hawite people. They also live in Tehama, which is further south. And their ancestor is Haywat bin Ham, whom certain scholars have said, or Pelagius authors have said, is the same word as Hivite, the word Hivite, which I actually figured that out myself before I saw that. But So they're the Hivites, and the reason I know that is because they're closely related to certain other people called Cain or Canaanites and Hamathites. So I know some more about the Hamathites, but that's where also we get the word Ham.
Yes.
So, and the Hamada are still there too, and they're found among the Harb, who are also a dark brown people in that area. Oh, sorry. Because I know.
It's all good. I put it on the radio.
Okay,
Thank
No. Can you hear me?
It's up, yeah, I got you back.
I got you
there.
something back. I'm sorry.
So let's see. It says. Oh yeah, so I even have it here. It says, and Robinson or Eli Smith has shown that this word, this is somebody writing in quotes actually, it's not my word, right? And Robinson, or rather Eli Smith, has shown that this word, Haywat, corresponds closely with Hivite. So that's in a book called Kadesh Barnea, written in 1884. So the Hivites, Hamathites, Salmites or Shalmai, Manasseh or Mansur, which is the medieval name, Salim bin Mansur, Kenites or Al-Kain, who were a branch of the Kudah Himyarites. See, all these people, like I said, came from the south and came up northward. In the Jewish or Hebrew Targums, the Shechemites are supposed to be the Salvanians. So that's why, anyway, the Shechemites also were down south. And Kamal Salibi also mentions that this village is now called Al-Kashma. And also the Beit Lahim, or in the Bible they're called the Humim, brethren of the Midianites. So the Beit Lahim found in Bethlehem. That's why it says, in the Bible it says Salmai found in Bethlehem. And in ancient times the people were called Solomonians, or Solenians, S-O-L-Y-M-E, I, Solenians. So, is everybody following me?
Islam, yes.
Yes.
Sorry, because it's so much information. Sorry. So, there's a man named Moshe Gill, who's very well respected Israeli linguist and historian. He says the Targum, which is the Hebraic commentary on the Bible, says calls the Kenites sons of Jethro Salamians, the sons of Salma. So the Salamians, like I said, were the ancient peoples. They're also, like I said, today's people, but they are mentioned by early authors like Pliny and other ancient Greek authors in that same area where these Hawatite people are now. So that's another way of saying that the Al-Kain, or Kenites, were descendants of the Midianites, Jethro or Reuel or oh. So Joseph considered the Kenites the people of the Shechemites. Antiquities, book 6. So every time I say something that these people are related, I'm getting it from one of those people. I'm not just making it up. I'm not assuming it. Genesis 34 describes the Hivites ruling the region of Shechem. And now, when we're talking about that region, Canaan and Edom and all those things, we're talking about further south. And they just came up north together. Further south, there were 4 Hivite towns. Gibeon, Kephirah, Yerim is where you saw the Kassid. There's Kassid, Yapid and Kassid. And Shechem was son of Manasseh, as well as Hamida, which is also a Harb tribe that were described as, very dark. Actually, chocolate-colored people. They call them, some colonists say chocolate-colored people with bushy hair. So you'll see this in Joshua 17, in different books of the Bible. These people are all related. Shechem is also called son of Hamor, or Himyar, the Hivite, because Hamor or Himyarites were the Hivites, who were sons of Canaan. So, it's just repeating all again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Each source is repeating the same thing. Another brother, let me see if I can, is Helek. Another brother of Shechem is Helek. I can't show it, but son of Manasseh, and and the Moabite also have a branch called Halik today, which is the same word. And they also have the Sulaim tribe there's one Sulaim tribe that was known as the Hubaib, which was Hobab, the Kenite. And Hobab is also, I think, the brother of Moses. So, I love this. As we see here, Hobab the Kenite. We have Salmon, the father of Bethlehem, a son of Caleb, the son of Hur. He's also said to be the father of Boaz and the Tuphathites. These are all Judean peoples. Okay, and this is the verse I'm going to show how these people came over as very, the same people.
Okay.
All right, and here's Madij, probably related to the tribe of the name Median, because, and this is, if you look in the book, The Unknown Arabs by Tariq Berry, he talks about how in the 12th century, an Arab writer, Ibn Rabi'u, wrote, of Cordoba, wrote about how the Madij in the 8th century said, "A fair-skinned Arab is unthinkable and as rare as the seventh wonder of the world."
Wow.
Yeah, you guys have to get that book. Here's another Mahra. Here's the Keturah, or Beit Ketir, who crossed over, and they're located in Hadramaut, the very south of Arabia. Right across from, and Arabia is less than 20 miles from the Horn of Africa. So why are these people going to be different? None of them are different.
Right.
They're not.
Doesn't make sense, yeah.
The same people, but, you know. And these people, though, by the way, speak the ancient Sabaic languages, not these right here. In South Arabia still speak the ancient Sabaic or Himyarite languages. And they claim, it's them that claim that originally they came from Africa. In remote times, they came from Africa. And I have writing of colonialists that says that their tradition is that. So here's Hamam, son of Lotan. In the Arab tradition, he's called El Yatan or something like that, because he was the inventor of the lance. Anyway, so he's actually not pure Arab, because he's mixed with something, just to show they're still dark. Okay, the Sabians are mentioned by Strabo as dancing with swords, like the people across in Djibouti, next to Somalia, still do. The women dance with swords. Okay, so we still have that. And as I said, that Somali, and these are Afar women, by the way, Afar, who are called Afrin in the Bible, and by Joseph. These are also in Hadramaut, from Hadramaut, these Jews, meaning they're the ones that remained Jewish, because most people have been converted to Islam, but before that, they were either, had different kinds, or they were Christians, because the first Christians were also from these people, called Manaeans. And these Habaniya, though, claim descent from Bahila, who in the Bible is called Bilhah. And in my blog, I show how the tribes of Bilhah are still under the same names, or the children of Bilhah, the same names, as Bahila, but they're known as Bahila in Arabia. So Bahila was also from the Azd. And here's the Kayla, or like I said, they don't like the word Falasha, so they're supposed to use Kayla. I mean, they don't like Kayla either now. They're supposed to like Beta Israel. That's like Beta Israel. So the Beta Israel were originally from the Agal Ethiopians, who are now mostly not Jewish, or don't claim Judaism, because it's much discriminated against. But anyway, it's their dynasty that was called the Zagwe dynasty. Now, I had a friend that was from Hadramaut, who was just like an Ethiopian, but his parents were killed in Israel because they thought he was an Arab.
Wow.
But he told me that the Judaism that they practice is Kabbalah. No difference. So these people are the As that I talked about that were followers of Amar Muzakia and Zarifa of Marib. And Marib was built by a man named Lukman or Lachman. Lukman, if you don't know, in Western tradition, he's called the Ethiopian, the woolly hair.
Right.
They think that Aesop's fables
Right,
were
right.
originally from him. Yeah, but in Hebrew tradition, he's also called Balaam, and he worked for the Moabite Balak.
Wow.
Now here's the mafia fishermen I was talking to you about, that were Himyarites. So when they, in the 15th century, the Chinese came to visit this is Hajjah, it's not the Hejaz. The Hejaz is where Medina and Mecca are, the holy sites of
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
So when the Chinese adventurers came there, Zhenhei's admiral took notes and said, the limbs and faces of the people between Mecca and Jeddah are of a very dark purple color. And they were very extremely religious, and they went veiled at that time. The women went veiled. Oh, that's 13th century. So this was called the description of the country of the heavenly square. That's what the title of his work was. Heavenly square meaning the Kaaba.
Kaaba.
Mm.
And big Ketur, who are Keturah, ancestors of the Midianites in the Bible.
Wow.
Mhm. So they're very much involved in incense trade, which is most of the incense trade in the world is found in this region, especially in Somalia. The foremost incense traders is by the Afar Midianites. These are Afar, they're also called Danakil, from the name Enoch or Anak, the brother of Afra, Midianite. Now also here, these people are located in Oman. There are also people that speak, ancient Sabbaic dialects, but Strabo calls them Garaeans and said they were actually descendants of the Chaldeans that were pushed out of Babylon. So a lot of people, most scholars don't try to connect those two, the Kara and the Garaeans, but they're the same people, and they practice different practices. Believe it or not, I don't want this might be embarrassing to some people, right? But in Africa, there was a tribe, you might have seen National Geographic sometimes, they show them, and a lot of people, seems like they're kissing the private parts of a cow or cattle or something. I don't know if you've seen that. But what they're doing is blowing up the sexual organs of the cattle to produce milk. And that's what they do in the Kara country as well. And they're also very magical.
Good, sister. Good.
Oh, wait, am I going backwards?
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Okay. So, and you see, like a lot of these people look Ethiopian, but the Dawasir look different. They don't look different. They look like some of the Nubians today, like these, another people that we might not have seen. They have some very giant Nubians. And those people came down with the Midianites, the Khazar or Khazraj or Jazar. Josephus calls them Jazar. In the Bible, they're called Gezer. Gezer. Okay, so my point bringing all that up about the Berbers and the Chaldeans and the Nabateans and all that. The Nabateans too, like I said, were the northern branch of the Az, one of the northern branches that were located in the region of Petra, next to Sinai, and Jordan. So the early references to the Nabateans or Nabit is that they were black in color. Okay, so the word Nabit came to mean black, and that is written about in this guy I told you about that's actually endorsing my book, the Jewish guy that founded the Jewish college. He that kind of thing's in his book about the Nabateans and the fact that Kedar also came to mean black. So that's what you find also in Tariq's book, The Unknown Arabs. You have to get that one. About how the Kudar in medieval times And Ibn Jahis talks about how the Quraysh Arabs, related to Quraysh, were always called that because they were black. The pure Arabs, meaning the noble Arabs. Qudar Sa'id means noble or sir, because the original Sa'id actually is related to a word meaning black. So when I first heard this stuff, I was like, some exaggeration, but it's not exaggeration at all. I found later. So the first people, according to Ibn Rakit, to inhabit Barbary were 5 colonies of Sabians. We said that. And here's the Tuareg. Now, this to me doesn't look like a white man. It looks like them, right? It looks like a Philistine should look. A tall African. You can't see it very well here, but the guy that wrote the book Kamal Salibi, the Balokan from Arabia, says the word Falash is probably related to that word. Because the people that live in that region now, they're still called, people called the Al-Falesa. So Philistia, which is what they were called, a Philistine, the land of the Philistia, Falasha. Okay, so here's the Berbers of the part of Morocco and south. Masmuda and the Sanhaja Berbers occupied that area. The Masmuda are also called black in the 14th century by Abu Shama, a Syrian, by Ibn Butlan, an Iraqi in the, I think, 9th or 10th century, and by a Persian named Nasir Israel in the 11th century. And this is written about by different scholars, even Israeli scholars, that the Masmuda Berbers, who were Berbers along the coast and in the Atlas, were described as black and black skinned. So the Masmuda, by the way, founded the Almohad dynasty after the Almoravid dynasty. So, let's see. And I told you that Maziks were described as an Ethiopian people in Roman times, but the name has been adopted now by all Berber speakers. Nationalists, usually nationalists are the northern people that are fair-skinned and are not really, don't have really that much Berber. Okay, so apparently the Targum, which, like I said, is the Hebrew commentary, European Jewish Hebrew commentary. It says Mazig, which is a translation of the biblical ancestor Dedan, son of Sheba, in the Targum. I don't know what the reference for that is, but I'm going to put it on. So again, we have another. Ibn Khaldun said the son of Taimallah. Taimallah was a god of Nabateans and other Arab people.
Wow.
The son of Mazik, who are mentioned in Nabatean inscriptions. The son of Canaan, because all these people came from the Wadi Canaan. Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it?
The son of
All right, so I talked about this already. The word Amoravid comes from, is related to Marabu.
Yes.
So men of the Rabat, a fortress. And they still have, like I said, their names, Alameddin, Igadol, and Masufin, the Masufa tribes. All right, so here's Tuareg of Libya, Tuareg of Niger. Women. They always have the camels, while the Zagawa are very always have the horses, the horsemen. But sometimes they have camels. So this guy actually is, I think he's based here now in America. Either that or his company is based here. He's a smith, and he's also 7 feet tall.
Wow.
And it comes from a very ancient clan of Tuareg that do smithing, silversmithing, which was one of the specializations of the Jewish people, the original Jewish people. So I think one of the European Jewish people too. And here's another smith at the side. And like I said, they usually don't wear the indigo veil because they're not the noblemen, they usually wear other types of veil. So the Zagai, or the passive Tuareg or Songhai, don't wear, like I said, the indigo, but they're Tuareg just the same. And they also went up, of course, into Spain with the noble caste. Okay? So these are the original Berbers that came down from northern Morocco that really made up the Masmuda. And they're called Bafour, or in the ancient times, the Moori Bavaras. Okay, so they're also called, known in Africa, Soning or Aswanek. Wangara, Ahelgara, Yarama, Jarma Sankai, Asuagan, Nagawa, and these are the people that, according to Portuguese writers, founded Carthage. They said they were the Phoenicians who founded Carthage.
Right.
They call themselves the Berry.
Wow.
So they also originally were, like I said, considered Jews. Most of them were considered Jews, and that's how that tradition is now it's being brought up by different peoples in Africa, like the Yoruba have a group among them that are Jewish too. It's because these people came down and actually they used to say that Jewish people founded Ghana and all that stuff, but it was these people, not European Jewish or Syrian Jewish, just Songhai, the Songhai people, otherwise called Sonique. So regular Berry, or Berbers. They call themselves Berry. They came from the north of Africa, originally down and founded these early civilizations, like Gal, like Dartichit, Jene. So they were traders, they were gold miners and goldsmiths and gold miners, gold traders. So golden traders of the Moors, that's where we get that. There's Jene. Of course, Tuareg founded with them Timbuktu. This is Dartichit. You notice all these civilizations look the same. And they're the same across the Sudan and Sahara. And originally North Africa. They were covered with, a lot of these towns were covered with white paint. And we call them white towns of the Sahara. These are also, these actually are a combination living in Libya now, northern Libya, includes the Berbers. There's a branch of the Zanata, people called Zanata Berbers. And that's their town. You see it looks just like Dartichit. Ancient, these very ancient towns. Going back, 2,000 years ago. These are the people that had no history.
Isn't that something?
Here's the belly. Belly's a gawa, and I talked about the belly. Importance about them is because one of their groups was the Al-Kain among the Sulaim. And there are the miners of the Sulaim that are mentioned in the medieval period too. The Sulaim tribes of northern Arabia and the Medina region. It's called Harat Sulaim. But they also stretch between Jordan, the Dead Sea, and Mesopotamia.
Wow.
They're called Salomeans, Salimi, or Salma, the founders of Jerusalem, both in, actually there are several of them in the south, and there was one in the north later on. But these people fought against the Greeks in their mythologies. And here's the kind of Hungary Berry. Okay, and here's more Berry of Central Algeria. They speak a language related to the ancient Rif dialects, Rif of Morocco. The Rif region of Morocco, which is Tangiers, Mauritania, Tanganyika, across from Spain. So those are the people that Isidore was talking about when he said the Moors are black as night, while the Gauls were white.
Now, I heard some of their songs, and I definitely recognize the melodies and the cadences of their songs are similar to some of the backwood churches that I visited.
That's why I put that up there, so people would know. I thought, was it just my imagination? So yeah, Merzit in north of Libya. Now, if you look at the ancient Sicilian Moors, they also, when they were kicked out into other part of Italy, some of the Moors had names like Marzouk, which is the name of these. And the Tuareg also live there too. These are the people, like I said in the other presentation. Gaddafi was working with them, trying to help them out, but then they got, I don't know if they got kicked out, but they got beaten up a lot. And they face a lot of discrimination now in Libya. Here they are in Chad again, they're horsemen. So when they went up into Spain, they were called Dinettes. Dinettes, Nana, or the horseman came to be known as Dinette. And just to let you know, I saw these people in my dreams before I even started studying this stuff, and I had to find out who they were. So that's part of the reason why, I thank my ancestors for showing me these people. So again, Tubu Bahrain. Now the Tubu are also important because that's the Hawatite people as well that I showed you. The Hivite people in Jordan who also occupied the Tehama. Originally, this name is a group of people also called the Ma'in or Manaeans. And in the Bible, they're called Maonians and Ammonians, or Ammonites. And I was saying that the Ammonites had a king named Moab, or Moabba, and that's taken the name Moabite. So when the medieval writers talk about the Moabites, Moawiya in Arabic now, Moawiya, the descendants of Moawiya, the Moabitarim, they're talking about these people. The guy, Moran people. These are all related people, very, very. Descendants of the Canaanites I was talking to you about. So these are in the, they came from the north to central Algeria. And also, these people were part of the Hausa. So that's why many of the features of the Hausa towns and cities were similar to that of the Zagawa. And the Hausa merchants, what was I going to say? There's a book out about the Hausa related to the Canaanites. It's something about Canaanites and Israelites centered. Africa-focused, Canaanite Israelite centered. And it's a German scholar that writes about it because their traditions are all about coming from Canaan. And a lot of the traditions of Africans are about coming from Canaan. So when people in this country start saying that we're talking about something, or I'm talking about something that's not accepted by Africans, that's not true. That's not the African way. The Africans are the ones that have those traditions of coming from Canaan.
Wow.
Yeah, because oftentimes people will try to dispute that by using DNA tests, and they will say, well, my DNA traced to this tribe and that tribe and that tribe, but they don't realize that those tribes themselves have traditions or have come from Canaan.
Oh, of course, yeah. The Africans are the ones that come from Canaan. And we, to the extent that we have African blood, is the extent that we come from these people. But no, African Americans are not Africans that come from Canaan. I haven't seen that a lot. I don't know where that comes from. But so Imaraguin, these are the Imaraguin, or Sonic of the Atlantic coast, the fishermen of the Atlantic coast. As you can see, they look like the fishermen of Aden I just showed you, the non-pure Himyarites, same purple color. That's what I say all the time. So lost history, but now it's returned. So
Right.
I thank God.
Right.
So here's the horsemen again. Like I said, they're all the same people. So they went to Spain as the United Berbers, and they had places there all over Spain, all over Iberia. But of course, black people and Moors were supposed to be different people, right? Look for a book on the Moors as black skin anyway.
Yeah.
That's right.
The word Moor did not mean Muslim. The word Moor meant black for centuries. And the early Moors were Berbers before they became, also sometimes Arabs are called because, like I showed you, the original Arabs are black too. But, yes.
Could you speak on the idea of Moor meaning Westerner and where that originated?
Well, what originated is because the Amorites, or Amaru, otherwise known as Nabateans, in the Assyrian records, worshipped a god named Meru. also known as Murugan or in India, and Murungu in East Africa, storm god of the mountains. So we know him as Mars today.
Wow.
But that's why you see in Nona's book, Greek or Greco-Roman writer of the 4th century wrote about Moors being the sons of Mars. Okay, so yeah, the Portuguese writers who came to North Africa apparently were told that these people, the Berberi, ancestors of everybody in here, founded Carthage. So we should not be blamed for that, for saying, called Afrocentric, or called radical, for saying that the Berbers were black, or were African Americans, were so-called Negroes, or people of Nigeria, were the same people, and they founded Carthage. That's what early writers say. Oh, where's my- In Carthage, you see, it looks just like any of the old cities. Is that the last one? Maybe it's the last one. Oh, I got through it. Yeah, I didn't think I'd be able to get through all this. That's why I started. Anyway, I just want some thank you. I just want some questions because I don't want people going from here thinking, is anything that was like exaggerated? Yeah.
The etymology or the origin of the word berry, Berber.
Well, as I was saying, it's probably related to that word Ubir or Ubir. Just because the Zagwe or Zagwe in Ethiopia were called Beri as well, or Eber. Yeah. So, and I got that from an associate, Bernard Lehman, who wrote the book Queen of Sheba. So it's very probable that the word is related to the word Hebrew. So, but you have to be a linguist to really figure that out, and he's a linguist, so. And all the same people, the Zagwe and the Zagawa and the Zagai and the Sugai. The word Songhai comes from that word, Zage, or Sugai, or Suagai. So the Waga Castle, that's the Spanish translation, Azawaga of Zuwaga or Zagawa. And Songhai is the west, is the further south, west translation. Songhai was Sugai, or north.
So Berber is not a Romanized form of barbarian.
No,
Be
the
clear.
word Berber has nothing to do with barbarian. There is a word barbarian, but that's a different word.
Okay.
They were written originally differently, and that's my associate, the Jewish guy I was talking about, he also writes about that they're the different words. He also, I don't know this picture. No, but anyway, does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay.
What was the author's name you were suggesting again? Barry or whatever?
Oh, Tariq Berry. Tariq Berry. The Unknown Arabs. And he has an
That's
interesting.
B-E-R-R-Y?
Yes.
B-E-R-R-Y. And he writes about, the different tribes that were called black and stuff like that. And that's how I figured out which tribes were, that all of them were actually black. Because all those tribes, names were related to everybody else.
And
So,
you remind me of Drusilla Houston Dungy. Have you read her book?
yeah. She was one of my inspirations.
Okay.
So her, J.A. Rogers, Diop, who else? J. Johnson was his last name? Origin of Man, God, and Civilization. Origin of African Civilization, something like that. Those were like the main ones.
Question.
So,
I'm trying to get some clarification now. The Berbers, are they the same people as the people who are called the lost tribes of Israel today?
yes.
And that's us.
The Berbers, or Berry, are the Hebrews. And that sounds strange, doesn't it? So, in a sense, these people in America saying that we are the Hebrews, we are the Jews, yes, to the extent that you're related to the Songhai, Mand people, Malinke, and all these people, which is a lot of West Africans, and Hausa, yes, you are descendants of those people, but not only that, the Canaanites, as well as the other tribes of Noah. So nobody else was mentioned in the Bible, like those people.
Right.
So anybody want to comment with anything, I'll show you that nobody else is mentioned in the Bible.
Wow.
It's just
Wow.
between
That is-
Mecca and the Horn of Africa. And in the Horn of Africa, after they started colonizing, after the Ethiopic Wars, which Josephus talks about, Josephus was an ancient Roman who was Judaized and talks about, where the Hebrews came from. So after the Ethiopic Wars, Lahumim, Latushim, all these people, got spread abroad. The Canaanites got spread abroad. And, some of them went to Aegean. In fact, in the 6th century, you find texts written at that time saying that the coast of the Aegeans belonged to Ham.
Wow.
So apparently a lot of these places were still occupied by, dark-skinned black people. I know Jericho in Syria is, or Israel is. So they were actually called the Black Syrians, or Cappadocians, Black Syrians.
Wow.
So Berry was the name for the people of Niger, or Negroes. That's where that word comes from. So that is what we are. Berry, or Berbers. The people in the north of Africa are mixed with all kinds of different people. Not, Vandals, people from Genoa, the Andalusians, hundreds of thousands of Andalusians came into Morocco and Algeria, into the Rif area, exactly where the Masmudi used to be. And the Masmuda, Katama, and Sanhaja were called, those are the three major ethnic groups of the Berbers, were called black in the 10th or 11th century. So anyway, at the time that all these Moors or Berbers were conquering or invading Iberia and Italy and southern Europe in general, they were black. Yes.
Did your studies, your studies cover a people, in the Morocco area, the name is the Haratines?
Haratin, yeah.
Haratines?
Well, the Haratines are the only people probably that are related to the ancient Egyptians today. There's also related to the Tata Karit or Caradan. But I don't think that they were very, I think they were they're definitely were the indigens of that area of Morocco.
Yes.
Yeah, but they probably encountered the Moors or the Berry. So there's Haratin, there's Gnawa or the Janawa, whose name comes from Jaina or Juhayna of the Kuta Himyarites.
Yes.
Yeah, George G.M. James said that in Stolen Legacy that when they were fleeing Egypt, that they went down into Morocco. And so
another
those
thing.
became custodians of the Egyptian mysteries.
Well, I just want to mention one thing about that, because remember, you're talking about, I didn't mention this, but an early name for some of the people in this region was Mizraim, Southwest Arabia.
Yes.
Wow.
That's why the Tuareg still have a group named Imazara, Imazura, Banu Mazura, and they were called in, but anyway, so you have to know about the Tuareg, you have to know the Bible to really know what I'm talking about, the different tribes, Amalekites, Philistines, Umayma, all those are names of these group of tall people that were very just violent, and I mean the Tuareg are very violent people. They became very monastic, strict under. But before that, they were Amalekites. They were Philistines. They were the people that destroyed everything. They were slave. They were the people. Everybody's afraid of them. In the Bible, it says the Israelites. It says Amalekites, first of all nations, and they were always, at war with the Israelites, who were, regular sized people. So the Tuareg and the Philistines, they're the same people, the Amalekites and Philistines. The Amliku or Amalekites are also mentioned in Hadramaut in the colonial era. So they didn't die out either. They're usually called the extinct Arabs in the Middle Eastern texts. There's a group called the extinct Arabs, but a lot of these people are still around. And the Dawasir and other very tall, big groups of Arabs and Africans are descendants of these people. So, I mean, they still have their names. I didn't go into that. On my blog slide, you could see the names of the Edomites, Canaanites, and Israelites still found among the Dawasir. Even the name Del El-Yashir, which is their name, that might even be the name of Israel, for all I know. I don't know. But I know it's either Ashir. Yashir is either the word for Assur, which was Medianite, or Israel. So it's one of those, I'm not sure if the word Israel actually, according to the ancients, is related to the name Saturn. And that was the name for these Asurim. That's where the word Ashur comes from. Ashur, Cronus, is
Yes.
C-H-R-O-N.
Yes.
The Greek Cronus, it comes from that word Saturn. And they were said to wear their hair in a, some of the Arabs wear their hair in a, I forget, it was this way or around, in imitation of Saturn, because that was like their ancient name. That was their ancient god, Saturn, and then Cronus Jupiter took over, or who they called,
Zeus.
Zeus, yeah. Zeus took over. Who's basically the same as Yahweh, but that's another story.
Wow.
I can't get into that. Yes.
At what point, speaking of now more sort of like bringing it to modern time, at what point did the Arabs, were the Arabs not seen in the way in which you're saying, right? So like at the end of the 600s, when they started to move into
Africa. So, see, what happened was when the Arabs went to Syria, well, even before that, when the Arabs went to Persia, which is the whole area of Afghanistan, Iran, northern parts of India, and into Turkmenistan, all these places, all these people, because they had some lineage from or great-grandparent from an Arab, they started to call themselves Arabs. So that's why you see all these so-called hadiths coming from those areas. Like Tabari from Tabaristan, Bukhari from Bukharistan. Those are all Persian places.
Wow.
Right.
So they're not really
That's right.
Arabs, but those are the people that took over during the Abbasid period. So
That's right.
What time period?
that's
was that?
after the ninth. This is after the ninth.
Somebody
The
Yeah.
Abbasid took over from the Umayyads.
You go from the line.
Not Umayyads.
Yes.
Yeah, Umayyads, and I showed it on my Facebook what the Umayyads looked like. They were same as I showed you. What they portrayed the Umayyads, did you see it?
I don't remember.
Oh, okay. I wish I had it here. Probably have it on my computer, but the Umayyads are portrayed a dark brown color. Dark brown, very dark brown color, by the Byzantines, who knew them.
So when people talk about Arabs and Africans in the very beginning of like when Prophet Muhammad, after Prophet Muhammad passed, a lot of times we hear, especially in the Afro-Centric circle, well, Arabs, they came and they went into Africa and they messed up the Africans and et cetera, et cetera. What does the history say about that in reference to, are we talking about two different people? Are we talking about similar people?
Well, like I said, there are different ways of Arabians into Africa, and that was the last one. The Muslim wave was like one of the last waves. There's Salaim, Halal tribes, they were the ones I just showed you, of the Hawati, who now belong to the Hawati, so they're very black. Or black is lava then, those are mixed people. Black is lava, and they came in and were covered. So, yeah, they did destroy certain things, not the whole, like people try to say the whole Sahara or something. But they were they took over a lot of places, they were slave traders and all that. But most of the slaves originally were from the north, not from Africa. Originally, most of the slaves were from the north. Most of the people that, the so-called Zanj slaves, most of that was not Africans, it was Arabs. Arabs that settled in Iraq, and most of the black people in Iraq, I'm sure people know by now because they've put it all over the internet. According to the Arab news, what's it called? Arab Press Service.
Al Jazeera?
No, it's called the Arab Press Service, I think. This is before Al Jazeera. They put in the news that most of the blacks in Iraq today are Arab, not Africans. Most of them are from the Mutafik bin Kyle bin Kab Arabs, who are mentioned as the rulers of that area up until the 1700s. So a lot of the Europeans, when they went in, they put the people that look like them in power, both in North Africa and in the Middle East. So that became the new norm. Yeah. That's why you don't see some of these people, power. They're lower. They're looked down on. Even in North Central Arabia, the Qudar, who are apparently the original tribe of Kedar, are looked down on as people without a history.
Wow.
Wow.
So I have that on my blog too, you should see it. It's like, it's
If
so,
we were to,
no, I was just gonna say, it's so fascinating how the history's been completely turned upside down. And I think that's why, like I've had the Oriental Institute of Beirut also contact me for papers, and which is a German center that was founded there, and then the National Strategic Institute of Odessa, Ukraine, and all kinds of people that, you know, I don't know. They're just, I guess they're fascinated as I am.
Yeah,
And most of my, I was telling people, a lot of my followers are from Russia for some reason.
Wow.
So, it just says a
so
lot.
as it relates to modern geography, what constituted the ancient land of Canaan? Where was Canaan?
So it's southwest, that area, like I said, south of Mecca, actually south of Asir too. It's called Wadi Kanuna. And it was named after the Canaan people, sorry. Cain people. Now Canaan is also plural for Cain. But if you look at what it says about Canaan and where the name comes from in the ancient world, I think the 6th century writers in Syria were saying that they got the name from Cain. Canaan, the word Canaan came from Cain. The word, and also Tubal Cain is related to that. Tubal Cain, the first smith. So,
Southwest Arabia.
yeah. The word Cain means smith too. It's Cain actually.
Did you say Southwest Europe?
Southwest Arabia.
Oh,
Can you
Wow.
can you expound a little more when you mentioned that Canaan, the people of Canaan, and the connection to the people of Africa? You know, our people from ancient Canaan, and the connection to Africa. You mentioned. So let me clarify.
Okay.
What I mean is that the migration, shall I say?
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying to say is that, first of all, keep in mind, we're talking about Southwest Arabia, and there was something called Ethiopic Wars, which were the wars with all these people, I just talked about the Israelites, Canaanites, Midianites, Amalekites, Kenites, all these people in Southwest Arabia, and they spread northward, and they spread into Africa, and even spread into, you know, Central Asia. So that was like, but that was way, way back. That was like over, you know, had to be over 1,300 years BC that they started coming, you know. That's at least according to their tradition, without Ifrikish when he was born and all that.
Yeah. Now, the reason I asked that because we Moors in here, and you're actually saying something that is in our Holy
Right, right.
Quran.
Well, that's
You're
what I
saying
found out.
exact, almost word for word, just in your way. It's detailed.
Detailed.
Yeah. So that's why.
Okay, so that's
Well, I had learned that Canaan, that your prophet had said that Canaan was in Southwest Arabia, which that's what I was fascinated with.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's right.
Now, I actually knew he was dead, but I didn't know that, how he could know about that. But I just found out, you know, I'm the only one that should know. But actually, so basically from looking at Kamal Salibi's book, because this was told to me, Kamal Salibi's book, The Bible Came from Arabia, he already showed that all those names of the tribes of Israel, Canaan, Edom, all those places definitely were in Southwest Arabia. And that just allowed me to put 2 and 2 together, why you found the same tribal leaders on both sides of the Red Sea and stuff. But he didn't know that, you know, it's not just the villages, but it was the tribes. And I was told about this book when I worked for, I don't know if you know, Zahi Hawass. He was in charge of the Giza pyramids and the pyramids,
That's right.
antiquities of Egypt. He was like a kind of racist. So he's Egyptian, but racist. Egyptians, many of them are like racist against people of dark color, especially Africans of dark color. Especially Africans, not even people of dark color, but also Africans. And he, you know, I worked with him, but there was another guy there from the tribe of Murad, the Himyarite tribe of Murad. And I had just happened to know that because I studied, you know, ancient South Arabian things. So anyway, he's telling me about Kamal Salibi, and at the time I thought it was crazy to say that all the tribes of the Bible come from, if Genesis came from Arabia. Come on, I'm like, I just let it go. It's only years later that some things started to click, and I looked at his book, and I'm like, oh wait, Okay, now I know why the colonialists said that the river Farad meant the river in Yemen and not, way up there, because the four rivers of Eden are also South Arabia.
That's right.
The Jordan, all these other place names of the Bible are first in South Arabia.
It's true.
So, right across from Africa,
Indeed.
the Horn of Africa. And both these people are called the same by the Romans, the Sabians. East Africa, east of the Nile, is called Arabia. Not even considered that, Africa was Tunisia. East Africa, east of the Nile.
Wow.
East of the Nile was called Arabia by Strabo and Diodorus.
Wow.
I can't help that.
That shit, no.
Watching this instead of putting it up, you know what I mean?
Afro-Asiatic.blogspot.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, blogspot, Afro-Asiatics, actually, .blogspot.com. Yeah, I should have made it so long.
So, Moors, let's please give our sister Dana Marnichi